In Texas, the Department of Transportation is severely underfunded. With more fuel-efficient cars being introduced as well as EVs, some of the main sources of funding for the Texas DOT is starting to dwindle. In the meantime, highways all across the state of Texas have been under construction to add some form of toll lanes, whether it's a full-on toll road or tolled express lanes. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at TexPress itself, which are all of North Texas's toll lanes. Now, before we go into more detail about TexPress, it's more important to make a big distinction. TexPress is not a series of tollways like the Dallas North Tollway, Sam Rayburn, and George Bush. Those are highways where you have to just pay to get onto the highway in general. TexPress is meant to act as an alternative to these current freeways, meaning that for extra money, you can drive on the faster lanes that can get to your destination faster. Now, TexPress lanes, as stated before, again, are alternatives to riding on the main freeway. These highways usually exist in the middle of the highway, allowing for easier access in and out. In short terms, think of like a normal HOV lane, but it's barricaded off and you have to basically pay to get in. Unlike the other toll roads, at least here in DFW, where it's a fixed price per mile, these do have dynamic pricing depending on the time of day. And the purpose for this is to keep the express lanes at a minimum traffic flow of 50 miles an hour. Now, these TexPress lanes have been around for several years now, but the first sections of TexPress lanes opening on December 14th, 2013, with the completion of the first phase of the LBJ TexPress lanes, which we'll talk about in a little bit. It was a start to providing managed toll lanes across the entire North Texas area. Now, there's about 120 miles of TexPress lanes in North Texas, but also not all of them are owned and maintained by the Texas Department of Transportation. Nonetheless, let's take a look at some of these projects. Now, the first one to take a look at is the LBJ TexPress. Now, I kind of already talked about this in the 635 video, but what this is, well, it basically adds tolled express lanes between TI Boulevard, which is just east of 75, going west to the I-35 interchange, where it comes back in here, and then it goes south to Loop 12, which does have its own TexPress lanes. We'll talk about that. Gets back on the I-35 going south, or it takes you on the 35 express lanes, which is another project that we'll talk about. Now, at a cost of $2.7 billion, it was one of the most comprehensive highway rebuilds when it was completed in 2016. This project consists of 13.3 miles of highway that also includes portions of I-35 East from the 635 interchange southwards to the 35 East Loop 12 split. This rebuild of Interstate 635 would widen 635 to 8 main lanes, a total of 6 express lanes, and between 2 to 3 continuous frontage roads lanes in each direction. Because of the heavy development at and around Interstate 35, the express lanes had to be trenched below the main lanes. Now, also this project was split into 3 phases. The first phase was basically from Preston Road to Greenville Avenue. So this is the part that basically starts at Preston and it goes all the way east towards TI Boulevard. This project was not one of those portions that was trenched. It was also one of the first parts that opened up early. Now, if we start at Greenville Avenue, the express lanes actually start with a 2-lane highway. So if we take a look here, it's pretty much 2 lanes coming up to 75, where right here, this becomes a 2-lane interchange. Well, wait, yeah, it becomes a 3 lanes coming up to the 75, 635 interchange, because, of course, there's always been a bridge going over that takes you onto the HOV lanes onto 75. But right around here, and then once you get onto Preston, this is where it will turn in. Like right here is where it then starts. It's trenched over a little bit, then it widens out for the tollway. But again, this is right around where the first segment starts. Now, this one was the first project to be opened on December 14th, 2013. Most of these express lanes was at grade up until Hillcrest, where the exit of Preston Road is located. And all the express lanes from there are now below grade of the main lanes and is expanded to 6. Now, the second phase actually was between Josie Lane going west on a 635, and basically was the rebuild of the 35 East interchange and then brought those lanes southward towards Loop 12. Now, because this project really didn't involve reconstructing I-35 East, the express lanes were now located on a bridge on either side of the main lanes. And that we can actually show right on here. So as you can see, you've got main lanes of 35 East right here. And then on either side is an above grade bridge pretty much for all of 30 for this project. And I mean, you do have lanes going off for the 35 Express, but this was the second phase of this project. On 35 East itself, there was 2 lanes going in each direction. But starting on the south side, from the I-35 East Loop 12 split, there is a separate entrance and exits for I-35 East, as well as connecting up to the Loop 12 TexPress lanes. Again, we'll talk about that later. Heading north to the 35 East, again, exit onto LBJ TexPress lanes and entrance onto 35 Express is just south of the interchange, because pretty much you can either choose to go take the 35 Express or stay to the right, and then you can either choose between exiting onto 635 or going all the way over and getting onto the LBJ TexPress lanes. Now, because the LBJ TexPress lanes do not expect westward from I-35 East, you do have to get off on I-35 to go west on 635. So there's no bridge going over that. But I do think they are working on doing that. I don't know how long it's going to take, but there has been some planning on rebuilding that to have entrances and exits from the 35 Express and the LBJ TexPress to go westward on there. Now, this phase opened on July 16th, 2014. Now, the third and final phase of the LBJ Express project would basically connect up both of those segments. This phase took the longest to build because most of this was below grade. Now, from Luna Road, there are 4 express lanes up until Josie Lane. And then at Josie Lane, that's where the highway widens back up to 6, where the exit for I-35 East on the westbound TexPress lanes and the exit for the I-35 East on eastbound TexPress lanes is located. It runs between multiple neighborhoods and businesses on both sides. Again, it explains why the express lanes were trenched underground. There were actually plans on building 2 tunnels, but they decided to just straight up trench it, kind of like what they did with 75, because it was cheaper. I mean, it would be expensive to build 2 boring tunnels and have it redug up. Now, this last phase opened up in September of 2015 with the commencement of TexPress service happening the following year in 2016. Now, the second project we're going to take a look at is the North Tarrant Express. Now, honestly, this is going to be split up into 2 different things because, well, the North Tarrant Express pretty much encompasses most of northern Tarrant County. So this one is the normal North Tarrant Express, and this pretty much encompasses 2 segments. So this is pretty much 183 between, I believe this is State Highway 120, just before State Highway 121, and the 820 interchange, and then 820 westward from there to the I-35 West interchange. And of course, there's a couple of stuff, but in that main thing, there are 2 express lanes in each direction. And yeah, it's a pretty busy thing. Now, consistently seen as one of the most expensive sections of toll lanes in DFW, it is also one of the busiest behind the LBJ TexPress lanes. The North Tarrant Express consists of 10.1 miles between I-35 West and the State Highway 183 and 121 interchange. Even though the entire North Tarrant Express is over 20 miles long, the first 2 segments are considered to be a completely different project in relation to the North Tarrant Express. This highway was split into two segments, with, again, the Loop 820 and State Highway 183 interchange being the divider between the two projects. After 4 years of construction, the whole project opened in October 4th, 2014, 9 months ahead of schedule. Starting east on 183, the 183 express lanes would start as a 4-lane express lane with the easternmost limit about 3/4 of a mile west of Industrial Boulevard. Most of 183 between 121 and Loop 820 would be an 8-lane highway with these 4 express lanes. Unlike the LBJ Express project, most of the express lanes would be at grade except for a couple entrance and exit ramps which were above grade. Now, that is kind of an interesting thing. It's not technically like all bridges and stuff. Outside of the exits and entrances, those were bridges, but most of that was like, oh yeah, we're going to build it up maybe like a couple hundred feet. Now, there is space in between the express lanes on 183, so like in the center median, which I believe they're already looking to build a 3rd express lane in each direction. I will have to double check on that. I'm not too sure. I haven't really seen anything, and that is the downside of Fort Worth, is they do not send in like the most accurate stuff when it comes to putting their stuff on the DOT website. But I do remember taking this. As you can see, this is the most recent thing from February. There's construction crews in the middle, and it looks like they are looking to at least add another set of lanes in the middle. Looks like it. I might be wrong, but I'm not 100% sure. I digress. Now, at the 820-183 interchange, the express lanes would then follow westbound 183 lanes to lie, well, in between the main lanes of 820. Again, there's an entrance and exit ramps for express lanes going south of this interchange. And with the 820 East project that we talked about a couple weeks ago, they're going to extend those TexPress lanes all the way farther south, so that you can either get onto, well, State Highway 121 from the Northern Express, or just take it south to 820. Now, at this interchange, the toll roads are at some of the highest bridges in this interchange because, well, it doesn't have to go above the bridge that takes the vehicles from northbound 820 to exit Fort Grapevine Highway and Davis Boulevard. Now, west of the 820-183 interchange, most of 820 stays at 4 main lanes and 4 express lanes. Because there's only 2 main lanes going in each direction, this highway is notorious for having some of the most expensive tolling prices, again, to keep the speeds at a minimum of 50 miles an hour. And the reason why it's so expensive is because it is still one of the most congested highways at this point. Now, coming up to the 820-35 West interchange, well, you can see a whole nightmare of an interchange. And this interchange is, well, that interchange picture that's actually in the I-30, I believe it's the I-35 thumbnail. And it really, and when you see that thing, you kind of are always like, oh man, everyone in Texas, there's like so many confusing things. But honestly, it's basically like 2 interchanges kind of put into one. And what I mean by that is, well, like, you do have like your normal interchange where you've got like bridges going above for, let's say, like from westbound 820 on to southbound 35, and then vice versa, going the other direction, going north from east to north, and then from south to east, and from northbound to westbound. But then on top of that, you have all the bridges for the rest of the Northern Express. Because remember, the Northern Express is also on 35 West, going both ways. So it's a pretty big still a pretty big interchange. It's just a matter of like realizing that, okay, like the inner bridges are mainly for the TexPress lanes, and some of the outer bridges that still go over are for the main lanes. But outside of that, there are plans in the future to widen 820 itself to a 6-lane highway between the 35 West interchange and the 183 interchange. But is that really going to work? I don't know. Now, taking a look at the 35 West This one actually is one of those ones where I can't actually get the full picture just because of how long it is. So the whole 35 West Northern Express section basically starts right at the I-30 and I-35 West interchange in downtown Fort Worth, and it goes all the way north up to Fort Worth Alliance Airport. And yes, there are bridges that go onto State Highway 170 and can take you directly onto those lanes. I know about that because I have a friend that lives in Haslett, not too far from there. So I've been to his house a couple times and have seen that. Now, the LBJ Express and Northern Express both started in 2009 and 2010 respectively, as these were the two busiest sections of highways in the DFW area, again short of Interstate 35 East in Dallas. The reasoning was most likely due to waiting for the I-820-35 interchange to finish its reconstruction, and having been recently completed in June 20th of 2023. Which honestly now that's a little over a year and a half from when this was last built. So this is technically the last privately operated TexPress lanes in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Everything else is owned by DOT. Now again, starting with segment 3, this is pretty much I'll probably show the picture up here. Segment 3 is pretty much from downtown Fort Worth up to the 35 820 interchange, and then segment 4 is pretty much from the 820 interchange to just north of the 287 interchange, and then this brings it up north to, I believe this is just before 114. I'm not too sure. I don't think it is, because I think 114 is technically in Denton County. But those are pretty much the 3 sections. Segment 5 was the one that had recently finished back in 2023. Now, when it comes to other TexPress lanes, there are a multitude of other TexPress lanes. And this actually is a pretty good indication of some of them. A lot of this stuff is not all of it. Again, so we've got the first section. So this is 635 East and TexPress lanes. So 635 East is something that we are going to be talking about soon. What this does is this basically builds off of the LBJ TexPress lanes, going eastward and stopping right at the I-635 I-30 interchange. Then there's the Northern Express, which again we did talk about. This is basically from the 183 121 interchange westward to the 35 West interchange, and then going pretty much northward up to, I think now this is actually just before Fort Worth Alliance Airport, which is right where the Tarrant and Denton County line is. Then we've got the State Highway 114 TexPress lanes, which basically start, I would say, in Grapevine. I'm not sure exactly what road it starts in Grapevine, but it traverses all the way down to the Mixmaster that is in Irving, where 114, 183, 114, 183, and Loop 12 are. Which is pretty interesting. Number 4, we've got the 183 TexPress lane. So this basically connects the Northern Express and goes eastward to the Loop 12 TexPress lanes, which is number 8, which basically connects all the 183 TexPress lanes up to the LBJ TexPress lanes. So technically, you can take 35. You can go all the way. You can pretty much go from Corinth and take the TexPress lanes all the way down to downtown Fort Worth if you really felt like spending the money. But again, outside of that, I-30 basically from just west of the Trinity River all the way through to, I believe now it's Cooper Street in Arlington, is its own is now tolled express lanes, and I believe they might look at extending that westward towards downtown Fort Worth, maybe connect it back up to the I-30 at the I-30-35 West interchange. I don't know. But then we've got the I-35 East Express lanes, and this basically is from the 35-635 interchange going northward up to Corinth, which is just north of Lake Louisville. Now, all of these except for the 635 East, North Tarrant Express, LBJ, and 183. Everything, all of these you see here are at least are just 2 lanes. And I believe that the 114 TexPress lanes are a 2-lane. I believe it is a 2-lane thing. Nope, that's 360. 114. Oh, this is George Bush. I think I'm a little bit too far. Oh, I'm not even close to it. Okay. I'm going to zoom in because I believe that 114... Okay, so I was wrong. 114 is a 2-lane? No, it's a 1-lane. Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, there's no way that this is a 2-lane thing. So, yeah, so 114 Express is pretty much just a 2-lane barricaded express lane, except when you come up here to the 114 and 121 interchange north of the airport, then it's going to turn into 4. And then this goes straight up here to 360 and it merges back. Well, sorry, this is 114 again. And it merges back on. And there's no more. But that's pretty much it. Like, there's not a lot of new tolled express lanes that are coming out. Now, there is actually a non-tolled TexPress lane thing that's on here. And that is called the Southern Gateway Project. What this did is pretty much it added a barricaded set of express lanes, so not tolled, just normal express lanes, pretty much from downtown, from Woodall Rogers going south on I-35 and then following 67 down to I-20. Now, there are future plans to add more express lanes, like for example on I-30, pretty much going up to at least the 635 and I-30 interchange, going all the way down here to, I believe it's just to I-45. There will be another set of tolled express lanes, I believe is what they're going to do. No, I don't know if they'll do express lanes, but at a bare minimum, they're going to have express lanes, and it's going to be barricaded. It's not going to be it's not going to be like what they have on here, where you got to take the machine and move the lanes around. Another thing that they're probably looking at doing, as I was talking about, there's a possibility that there might be express lanes pretty much extending westward from the North Tarrant Express, going down to I-30. I-30 might actually have more toll lanes as well. And actually I-20 extending from from the Southern Gateway, or the Southeast Connector, going through Arlington and Grand Prairie up to Carrier Parkway after George Bush, might have some express lanes. Again, we don't know, but these are some things that are pretty interesting to take a look at because, well, there's just some of these projects that I did talk about are just in the planning phases. Like I-30 through Dallas County is in the planning phases. A-20 Northwest, I mean, go watch that. That came out last week. And I-20, which, again, we'll talk about later. But all of that stuff, that's been still, in the planning phases. But with these TexPress lanes actually helping to address the Texas Department of Transportation's funding needs, it is helping to, increase the budget every year. I believe in the next 2 years, they're going to be spending about almost $30 billion in their current budget. So it's about $15 billion a year, and about 86% of that is going towards new construction. Hence why a lot of these highways are now starting to be built. I believe they kind of started in Dallas and Houston just because we're some of the biggest, at least biggest metro areas. And now they're starting to do more construction in Austin. But again, we're starting to see a lot of these projects being built, and we'll talk about the Texas Clear Lanes Initiative, which is helping to fund a lot of these projects in the future. But with that, we're going to end the video right here. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video over what the TexPress lanes are. So no, it's something really it's something different. I mean, you guys are kind of like, well, this ain't really a specific project, but hey. I feel like I probably should talk about this because, yeah, I could do something about the LBJ TexPress lanes, all that stuff, but like 99% of all of the Toll Express lanes in DFW are done, and the next set of Toll Express lanes are still in the planning phases, so that's why it's like there's not much really to talk about right now when it comes to new projects. But if you guys like what you guys just saw, leave a like down below. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button as well. Leave a comment as to what project I should keep an eye out on. I mean, if you guys want to keep an eye on A20 Northwest, we'll probably post another video in mid-2025 when the north and south segments of A20 Northwest are done. But I digress. Let me think here. I think that's about it. But yeah, hope you all have a great day, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.